Good evening, everyone. This is Atmospheric Alex here for a severe weather outlook and discussion on October 29th, 2024, just 2 days before Halloween already. I know we're really getting closer to winter now, aren't we? But you know, Mother Nature doesn't really think so. And take a look at this. Severe weather is becoming more possible or likely for tomorrow. Now, before we get started with this video, you're probably thinking, what are you doing, Alex? What is this thumbnail? You've totally switched up your style. I can't read what any of this means. What does this red curved line over here mean? What are these splotches of orange and yellow? What is this text over here? Oh my gosh, and what is this here? This red area with a hatched in it with a red shading. What's all this blue on my screen? What? Okay. So, thankfully, I'm the type of person who will actually explain what their thumbnail means, unlike other people. This thumbnail is essentially your mid to upper level wind flow here across the Great Plains, and you can see out here your main severe weather risk area. And I know it's shaded in red and everything like that, but it is to stress the urgency for tomorrow as it's been uptrending fast. So I hope that clears everything up, and I hope you like this thumbnail. We'll go over the other one that I had planned later on. But to start off here, let's take a look at this incredible website called weatherwise.com, where I have actually been able to pull up our storm prediction / convective outlook for tomorrow. And as we zoom in on this interactive map here, it feels so nice, doesn't it? We have a 3 out of 5 on the severe weather scale, an enhanced risk for severe weather here across portions of eastern Kansas, northwestern Missouri, and northern Oklahoma here, where we could see damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes, a couple of which, or a few of which, could be strong, and we need to really remember that here as we look at our model data. Now, on the outskirts of this, we have our level 2 out of 5 on our severe weather scale here. This is your slight risk here, and it has a slightly less threat than the enhanced risk, but still, if you're in these yellow shade areas here, in these orange shade areas, you need to stay weather aware. Turn emergency alerts on your phone if you haven't already, or if you wish to, and crank your weather radio up to high so you can hear all the latest warnings that come through, especially for you guys over in Missouri when it'll be dark out. So you need to know if there's, say a destructive severe thunderstorm hanging your way, or if there's a tornado rolling down your neighborhood paying a visit. And speaking of your tornado risk, we have a 10% significant risk here. This is for strong tornado potential here. Take a look at this for Topeka here, almost into St. Joseph, Atchison, Kansas, Emporia, El Dorado, Manhattan, Junction City here. A lot of fairly populated regions here in this risk, to where, if any discrete supercell ends up forming even semi-discrete supercell by itself, it could easily produce a strong tornado in tomorrow's environment. Outside of this risk, or outside the significant risk, you still have a 10% chance here where you could still see quite a few tornadoes, not specifically in your neighborhood per se, but in your general area. Kansas City, Burlington here, Lawrence. We're talking Independence, Coffeyville down there, Pawhuska. We're talking about Arkansas City, and the list goes on and on and on, basically. Maryville, that's kind of funny. That is where you could be seeing much more, a much greater shot at tornadoes. And outside of this, you have your brown 5% risk, still a few tornadoes possible there. Heading into your wind risk, you have a 30% non-hatched risk, though I do expect they will likely hatch this up for 75 plus mile an hour winds. But as they word it, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds are possible in this general area. I will not read out the towns again. I already did that. So Kansas City, though, definitely is one of the bigger ones in this risk. Outside of that, winds may be a little less likely, but still, please stay weather aware. Look at down here, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, areas like that. And as we head into our hail risk, I really do expect this will probably go up where your cells initially develop here, and they may also hatch it as well. We'll have to wait and see. But we do have a 15% risk across the entire area here. Heading into your future model here, your HRRR, as it prints out what your radar could look like, likely won't, but it could. We're seeing potential thunderstorm development, not really related with our severe weather, starting around 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Like I said, just scattered thunderstorm activity, and maybe some hail going up towards Lincoln, Nebraska. As we head more off here, look at your thunderstorm activity really explode here. Goodness, you're going to see a lot of heavy rainfall here, maybe a flooding risk. Again, Lincoln getting in the brunt of that. But look at this. Around 2 to 3 tomorrow afternoon. Look at some of these supercells that form out in front of your main risk. Topeka here could already be seeing a chance for a tornado, maybe, in near your area. We'll just have to wait and see. St. Joseph, a nice little supercell there. If these become much stronger, all right, these supercells, start to develop a lot more of a classic look to them with your full-on hooking structures, watch out. These will definitely be having a chance to produce strong tornadoes. And a lot more of them form up, and yep, boom there, boom there, boom, boom. And yeah, tornado risk, basically. Back here, here's your main event starting around 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Looks very messy. A couple of supercell structures here trying to develop to the south of your formidable linear area here. Up in Iowa, a couple storms as well. Take a look at this supercell, though, here around 5 p.m. This would definitely have the contender for a strong tornado. All your other cells have a good tornado risk as well, since they're out in front of everything, really gobbling up all your wind shear here as these move on through. But don't worry, there's still plenty of wind shear back here, right? Looks a bit messy, but as you will see in the next frame, not anymore. Really well-defined supercell structures. Look at that, just to the northwest of Topeka here, into east of Wichita as well. And this one in particular has potential for a strong tornado if it forms. Again, not a forecast. The radar might not look exactly like this, but assuming that it did, that's what you would see. And look at that supercell moving straight up towards Topeka there around 5 to 7 p.m. tomorrow evening as we're looking there. And stuff off to the south of it as well. Contender for tornadoes, maybe some strong. And then your really messy linear structure developing behind it as well. But as these are out in front of the line, these are going to have the entire environment to work with. Look at this, around 8 p.m., very defined supercells down here, and honestly, with your wind shear ramping up here, it wouldn't shock me, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see a violent tornado that develops. This is quite a bold take on this radar image here, but we'll have to see. Definitely a favorable environment nonetheless. Look at that. Goodness, big time hooking structure. Goodness me. And your big Boeing line of storms behind it. Look at these bow echoes that develop. These could contain destructive winds upwards of 80 miles an hour. Carrying on further eastward here, take a look at this. Line really begins to get developed here. We have areas up here all the way in southern Iowa getting in on this. Look at that. And this big time Boeing segment containing potentially destructive winds moving off to your east here that plowed through areas south of Kansas City. This would be quite the ordeal here. Goodness, yeah. This is, believe it or not, my second attempt at this video. The first recording actually corrupted on me. That's fantastic, right? And that's never happened before, so this is just fantastic. Already went through this information once, right? But I'll gladly go over it again. Another Boeing segment down here near Joplin. Another one down near Tulsa, which could lead to a lot of issues here with your Boeing outwind structures. Now, as we go through the overnight hours, this line will quickly propagate off to your east. But hey, take a look at this. You have little swirlies, little vortices going on here inside of your line. And this tends to happen when you have such strong winds that are bowing outwards of your bow echo that you can get strong inflow on the northern side. And this creates quite a swirly characteristic here where you could see tornadoes, especially with your wind shear. Some could even be strong. And we're even looking up north here at another one forming. So it's important to be looking at these. Look at these bookend vortexes, and as they could spin up within a couple of minutes and die off within a couple of minutes. This is what you would call a QLCS, a quasi-linear convective system tornado. Very fast, very unpredictable, especially if your radar is updating every 5 minutes. I hope they're updating every minute or two, because we need that data as fast as possible. Now for Oklahoma and Texas, we're going to get through this pretty quickly here. You could see here that forming. I don't believe that. That's kind of weird. But later on in the evening, around 7 to 8 p.m., we're talking about some semi-discrete supercell structures. You got those up there in Kansas looking quite significant there. That's something to watch for. But the ones down here in Oklahoma churning along as well. Could potentially see a tornado risk. Take a look at some of these here. Nice little inflow here going in this. I just drew the number 5, didn't I? And some bowing structures to the south of that near Tulsa. And this huge line here unzips itself going into around midnight here as this goes into Dallas, Fort Worth, and Fort Smith as well. Also important to note that any supercells out in front of this line could also contain tornadoes, so we'll have to monitor that as well. Heading into your storm energy, goodness, you have quite a lot of it, don't you? About 1,000, 2,000 storm energy. This is well over enough to sustain severe weather and tornadoes, especially with these cells down here working with quite a lot of energy. That is something we need to keep tabs on closely. And this struggles to actually weaken into the overnight hours. That's a huge concern for that line with your little curlicue segments there that could spin up fast. Your wind shear forecast, thank goodness there's nothing tonight. 70 knots of shear, no thank you. Tomorrow, though, 50 to 60 knots of shear out ahead of that line, where your tornadoes will get spun up quite quickly in a favorable environment. And looking into Missouri here, again, really need to watch this. 70 knots of lower level flow. Quite significant indeed. Now, thank goodness we're done talking about that, right? Well, let's talk about Halloween now. I remember, about a week ago I was talking about this, saying plentiful, really beautiful conditions, abundant sunshine, 70-degree weather across the entire country. Get out there. Well, I was being a little foolish. You really shouldn't be using one particular model that far out. I know there was some other agreement as well, but I probably could have been a little more strict on that forecast and said, well, you still need to watch it. Maybe it could change a lot more. As we're talking about this, take a look at your high temperatures for Halloween. Now, we're seeing really nice conditions across the eastern U.S., I will say, and central U.S. as we kind of draw it all out here. Talking 60s, 70s, 80s down there in the south, the southeast. My goodness, very beautiful weather, especially for late October, early November standards here. Into the northeast, we could see New York City crack about 80 degrees here. That is absurd for this time of year. But on the flip side, look it up here in portions of Minnesota in your northern U.S., northern plains, all that. Temperatures between the 50s, even some, look at this here, gosh, Minneapolis. That's important, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Talking about temperatures there in the mid-30s. During the day? What'll it be in the evening? Still, cold conditions there. You need to dress up heavily in those areas. And then out in the mountains, you know the drill for this time of year. Whatever happens, you just gotta roll with it. Below average temperatures, though, is the main consensus for the Rockies. And heading into trick-or-treating time, right? Or, if you just want to get out and about in the evening, temperatures looks to be across the eastern U.S. here. Very nice. Just look at that. 60s and 70s Maybe even the costumes will be a little bit too hot, right? Goodness, you might have to wear something a lot lighter. Look at this in Texas, still in the 80s. Goodness, is it summer? Really seems like it, right? Up here, northern US, we're talking about low 30s in some areas. Goodness. Quite chilly, right? And for your layer trick-or-treaters or party-goers or whatever have you, conditions so nice. Still, look at that 70s. Goodness, you would, there's other Halloweens where you would pray for conditions like this, and thank goodness we're getting it this year. Out west, you get the song and dance. Northern US again, getting into your mid-20s now. Oh gosh, I couldn't only imagine. What about your precipitation map? You could see a very large storm system moving up here, across the northern US, northern Midwest here. Gosh, I wonder what that is. Well, it's the threat tomorrow, basically, on your GFS model. Severe weather in Iowa, but then that changes over into, well, just a lot of heavy rain, some thunderstorm activity flying up there into Wisconsin there. A lot of rainfall along the strip. And some people are going to be extremely sensitive to the next few frames I'm about to show you. Well, I better hope that you're a snow lover, right? Look at this across central Minnesota. We could be talking about an all-out snowstorm across those areas on Halloween. Look at that. The morning of Halloween, that is ridiculously heavy snow falling there. And then your massive frontal system draping here across the central U.S. here into your south as well, and Midwest. Let's not leave you all out up there. Going into the afternoon, snowstorm continues up here for portions like Minneapolis here. Look at that band of heavy snow and very strong winds as well, whipping around this low pressure system. It's gonna feel like winter out there. I hate to say it. And then you have your rain out ahead of it as well. Maybe some thunderstorm activity, maybe some isolated severe weather here. Then trick-or-treating time, very heavy snow falling across UP, Michigan there into Canada here. You are not going to be out in that, I believe me. And some light rainfall, some thunderstorm activity here, blowing into the eastern U.S. as well. And then your tropics are waking up. Let's move on. I'm not looking into that. I'm sick and tired of covering the tropics anyway. Until we get model consistency, I am not going to say a blip about that. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Tried to recover from the lost recording earlier. Still can't believe that happened. But I want to do a little thumbnail test. So, do you all prefer this thumbnail, which I was going to go with? You can see it's kind of the old style here. I have this, nice large text over here that you're familiar with, this red bar. And I even have your cute little stickers over here on top of your supercells, depicting where the worst fit could be. And then, of course, your dotted red box over here, which always indicates your worst case scenario. That is why that's there to begin with. And so, I want to know, do you like this old thumbnail? I'd highly recommend you leave your answers or suggestions in the comments down below. And, well, let's see here. Do you like this one instead? This is the newer style I'm going for. I plan to create a lot more color palettes for this as well. This is your upper level winds. I plan doing what for thunderstorms, for winter weather, all sorts of stuff I can create my own color tables for on this awesome website, windy.com. You gotta love that website, right? Interactive map and everything. So that being said, do you like thumbnail style 1 or do you like thumbnail style 2? Let me know what you think. This one, in my opinion, pops out a lot more, and I feel like you get a lot more traction. That said, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to smash that like button, and feel free to subscribe to my little corner of the weather community. Share this with friends, family, or on social media. Could be talking about quite the day tomorrow. We'll just have to see here across Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma. You get the idea. Be sure to ring the bell notification icon as well to know when I upload next, and please have a safe and wonderful night, everyone, and stay weather aware.